Hello, good morning, everyone. Welcome to another episode of a new season of the Dunn Wisdom Morning Show. I am your host, Melissa P. Dunn, CEO of MD Marketing Network and founder of this Dunn Wisdom movement. Today, I'm coming to you from City Hall. I have a 9:30 meeting, so I'm gonna just be able to do the show and run downstairs very quickly. So now you know what my office looks like at the Lauderhill City Hall. In any case, today we are going to talk about mothering with love, and this is in honor of Mother's Day. I don't know how many of you know my story, but I lost a child and a pregnancy 19 years ago. And so I've been struggling in my own life with how to define motherhood and how to um, my path towards motherhood. And so I have invited two guests today who have been on their own journeys with motherhood. And I have asked them to come on and share their story. My intention for this show is to remove the stigma and, for some women, the shame associated with this whole idea of being a mother or not being able to biologically mother a child, and to share with you the possibilities that there are many paths to motherhood. And so today I'm going to invite Dr. Lynn Labrousse to join the conversation. Dr. Labrousse is a chiropractor with a thriving practice in Miami-Dade County. She's also the founder of Faye Essence, which is a line of products that support women's fertility. Ladies and gentlemen, put your hands together for my first guest in this segment, Dr. Lynn Labrousse. Good morning, Dr. Labrousse.
Good morning. Thank you for having me this morning. It's a pleasure to be
here. My pleasure. So, Dr. Labrousse, I've known you for a number of years now, and we kind of gave birth to a baby together in Faye Essence. But I want you to share a little bit to motherhood.
I'm sorry, you broke up for a second there. My journey to motherhood?
Journey to motherhood.
It was quite an experience. I knew that I've always wanted to be a mother since I was a young girl. I knew I wanted 3 kids. So once I got married, it was just natural for me to just have a yearning to fulfill that need to be a mother. So my journey first started off with multiple pregnancy losses that were unexplained. I had unexplained infertility, which means that there was no reason. They had no scientific reason as to why my body would not support a pregnancy. And I had sought motherhood through the IVF and IUIs, and there were just multiple failures, multiple miscarriages, until the doctor was like, listen, your body's not cooperating. We need to explore other possibilities, at which time, we explored adoption. We did fostering to adopt. I was a foster mom to a newborn baby, fresh from the hospital. And I started, it started to fulfill my need and my urge to want a mother. I'm the oldest of 3 girls. I wasn't as blessed as you to have nieces and nephews just yet. But they were really tiny at the time. I had 1, I believe. But, from there, unfortunately, I was not successful with the fostering to adopt. The father did after his paternity was proven, he wanted his daughter back. And so after that, we explored surrogacy. And I am blessed with beautiful, identical twin girls through surrogacy. And then my mom, she's like, Lynn, you know what? Now that everything has calmed down, you have your twins, the house, the energy in the house has changed. Everything seems to have shifted somehow. She says, these are some herbs I want you to try. And I tried them just exactly as she told me to try them. And I got pregnant naturally with my son.
Wow.
And to fulfill my desire to be a mom of 3. But, it took experiencing all those 3 roller coaster rides, those 3 methods of IVFs and surrogacy and possible adoption, to finally be able to carry my child,
Okay. what was it like going through the process of how did you find your surrogate? Like, what was that process like for you?
I started to explore different avenues. They have agencies, and then there were people. Florida's a surrogacy friendly state, and there were websites at the time. I'm not sure if they have them now, which you can find your surrogate. And I found multiple surrogates. My biggest obstacle was, overcoming the thought that perhaps no one would want to be a surrogate to a Black couple.
Mm,
That was just a figment of my imagination. And I didn't have to go through an agency at all. I found somebody who was willing to be, she was a beach. We're still connected. We still talk to each other.
wow, wow, wow.
Her
And
whole
so basically, she's just a vessel to carry your body.
She was just a vessel. She was just a vessel. The children are biologically mine and my partner at the time. And so, yeah, she was just a vessel. And the kids know about her and that she's not, their mommy biologically, that mommy's tummy was on hiatus for a little bit. And
Mm,
so they always want to know, well, how come your tummy was broken for us and not for Elijah? I said, well, there were some herbs. And I think those herbs kind of they did the trick. That, and I think there was a shift in energy when the babies were born, the twins were born. I think that changed and opened up a whole lot of things that perhaps maybe we don't fully understand.
mhm.
And that, along with the herbs, I think definitely made that unknown diagnosis. Just, I went back to the doctor. She's like, it's a miracle.
Oh, I do really believe in the mind body spirit connection. And I do believe that our minds are so powerful that it really tells our, and so I think the shift in energy plus the herbs plus you're now relaxed, you're happier because you have your babies. Yeah, I could see how that with the herbs, all of those things coming together can really produce Elijah, which is powerful.
Yes, you're absolutely
Powerful, powerful, powerful. All right. Well, I'm going to bring in our second guest now, who also has her own path to motherhood. Latoya Pinnock is the founder of Josiah Speaks Hope. We actually had her on the show at some point last year. And so I want to welcome her back to the conversation, Latoya Pinnock. Hi, Latoya.
Hi, good morning, Vice
Sweet
Mayor. How
Latoya
are you?
Wilson. So Latoya, share with us your journey to motherhood.
Good morning, everyone. Thank you for having me again on your show. So my journey to motherhood was a roller coaster. It was an experience. So getting married, I always wanted children, and the first couple of years, I could not have any children. Before being married, I was told I couldn't have children because I had a serious hormonal issue. And so maybe 3 or 4 years after being married, I finally got pregnant, and I had my son, who is presently 14 years old now. And after him, I continuously tried to have another child. And it took 12 years later for me to get pregnant. And
Wow.
so in that time, I tried everything possible and nothing happened. And surprisingly, it was in just before the pandemic in 2018, I found out I was pregnant. I was excited. My community was excited, my family, my husband, because it was a long time coming, something that we really, really wanted. So the journey and the experience within that 12 years, I had doubts, I had fears. And when that finally happened, I became very excited. I did everything that I should do to ensure that I had a healthy pregnancy. Unfortunately, at 34 weeks, I lost Josiah. There was
Mm,
no reasoning behind it. And that took a turn, one on my faith and two on my body. So it was an experience that mentally affected me. I went into a state of depression. because here I am after 12 long years wanting something, having it, and it was ripped away from me without a cause.
Wow, wow, that's a really powerful story. And so after you lost Josiah, what happened?
So I lost Josiah, and maybe as soon as the country got shut down in the pandemic, so I didn't have the kind of support I needed. And like I say, I was depressed, and I just started researching what are the things that would cause one to lose a baby, especially the research that I found out was among Black women. We were 3 out of 5 Black women that suffered a pregnancy loss for different reasons. And that was alarming. And in that time, I found out that there were so many women I knew who had suffered pregnancy loss, whether it was by miscarriage or an ectopic pregnancy or a stillbirth. And I was shocked because these women didn't talk about their experience because they were ashamed. And in that experience, I decided that in my community, something was needed to help these women and family to heal and heal in a right way. And so, out of that experience, I decided to start a nonprofit organization to provide that space, to hold space for women who aren't able to talk freely about their story because the shame and the guilt behind it, it was very hard to talk about. And then the trauma of retelling your story, there were not enough support for that. And that's where the organization came from. And that's
Mhm.
why it's called Josiah Speaks Hope, because we bring hope to these families who don't know where to find hope, and they can relate with
Mm.
someone who have been down that road and have that experience.
So, this is really interesting. I want to bring Dr. Labrousse back because it sounds to me like both of you turned your pain into a passion. You both allowed something to emerge that will then help other women on their journey to motherhood. So, Dr. Labrousse, those herbs that your mother gave you through Faith Essence, you're now offering that to other women. Yes.
Yes, absolutely. Absolutely. There are herbs that were developed. We traditionally in the Caribbean, we use herbs a lot. And so we use herbs, to support pregnancy, during pregnancy, the afterbirth, and even to restore fertility. And so my mom, after all those years, she's like, Lynn, now that you're in a different space, a different mindset, maybe you'll be more receptive. We were so into the traditional medicine, the injections, the pills, the IVF, that I was closed off to that. And so when she presented to me exactly when I was ready to receive that, and she went over everything, and I had grown up in a family that believed in herbs. And so when she presented it to me, I tried it, and it worked. It worked literally. I don't think it even took 3 months, and I was pregnant with Elijah after 10 years of infertility.
Wow. And then now you're offering that same formula to other women through Faith Essence. Yeah.
Yes, absolutely.
Oh, fantastic. And then Latoya, so your story didn't end there because you ended up getting pregnant. Yeah.
Right. So,
I think I saw your miracle baby peep her head out there for a minute.
right, she did. She did. So, 2 years later, after helping so many other women having that space that they need and healing, I myself started to heal. And unexpectedly, 2 years later, I had my miracle baby. I didn't do any invasive program or anything. I just believe, like Doc say, when your mind and your body coincide together, a lot of different things can happen. And at that time, my mind and my body was just in sync. And God just saw it fit to make me a mother again. And I became pregnant and had my miracle baby last year, July.
Oh, wow. That is such a beautiful, powerful story. And, it's funny that the three of us on here, we all suffered some pregnancy loss. And a result of that loss, we all turn that pain into something that really is blessing the community, right? So, for my situation, I lost, my son Uriel and he just celebrated his 19th birthday a couple of weeks ago. And then my daughter Maya, who was ectopic, so we lost that pregnancy. And so I chose not to try to get pregnant again, but instead, um, I'm mothering my nieces and nephews. I'm certainly creating space for mothers in my community to continue to have healthy, happy families. And I, so the whole point is that we all get to be mothers in one way or the other. It's just that there's a lot of different road that leads to motherhood.
And that's true. You are still a mom, whether you have a baby or not. So whether your pregnancy was early or late, whether you are empty-handed or you have a baby in hand, you are still a mother. And a mother is not recognized just by birth, but also by the, like you say, Vice Mayor, the children you're mothering. You are an aunt, but you're mothering children in the community. You are holding space for other women to be healthy mothers to their children, both mentally and physically. So, because we can be surrogates, we can be foster moms, we can
Mm,
be moms who adopt, because there are a lot of children out there who need a mom. And so there are different ways we can do it. And it's not just governed by you giving birth. You can
yeah.
also be effective without giving birth as well.
So, Dr. Labrousse, considering the journey that you went on with surrogacy and fostering to adopt, and then using the herbs to have your son, what advice would you give to your younger self, the woman that was at the very beginning of her fertility journey and feeling some fear and some anxiety? What advice would you give her?
The advice I would give myself is to assess my situation. I believe that sometimes God protects us, and maybe I was not ready to get pregnant at the time, and I forced the situation. And I think had I had just calmed down and not had forced the situation and just accept what God had for me, that perhaps the journey would have been easier for me. Yeah.
That's so powerful. Acceptance and allowance. That is really powerful advice, Dr. LaBruce. What about you, Latoya? What advice would you give to your younger self?
It's okay to stop, breathe, and allow life to just flow. If you're going upstream and you're forcing going upstream, you're gonna fail. And so it's okay to follow the wave of the water. Don't force it. A lot of times we force things and it don't work out. And when it don't work out, it's okay. Don't beat up on yourself. We all go through different things in life, and it's to make us greater, to make us stronger. And every experience is not an accident nor by chance, it's by God's divine will. So He allowed things to happen to us to make us better, better women, better stakeholders, better at everything that we do. And so, my advice is it's okay, be easy on yourself, take it easy.
Oh, wow. That's such powerful advice, because being in ease and flow and allowing things to happen, it's a lot easier when you're not going through the storm. It's a lot easier when you all of these negative conflicting emotions like fear, worry, or doubt. And so though that's really powerful advice, no matter what it is that you're going through, for you to just allow God's grace to flow in and through and as you. Powerful advice, ladies. Powerful advice. Do you have so where are you now along? I know you both have, Dr. LaBruce, you have your three beautiful, healthy children, your son and two daughters and your son. And Latoya, you have your son and your daughter. So talk to me a little bit about parenting now that you've come on the other side and you're actually moms. How do you mother with love?
I can admit at first, when I lost my son, it was hard to parent again. I had doubts because, again, I had shame and I had doubts. Am I doing the right thing? How did I not know that something was wrong with me while being pregnant? How am I going to care for a child again, a preteen? So I had doubts at first, but then I'm saying from experience, give yourself space to breathe, give yourself space to grow, and allow God to guide you. I started over by loving myself, embracing my experience, and in turn, doing that, I had more gratitude and compassion. And so I could pour that love upon my son. I gave him space to be the individual that he is, to act like a child, to grieve the loss of his brother just the same, and just to grow and be his own individual self. Because again, you have to love people individually. You can't love them cohesively like you should love everybody. You have to love them as an individual. And being a mom, I had to learn the new dynamics of loving my son in a way in which it took a lot of hard work dealing with my own inner child, trying not to be my parents, and allowing myself to love him for who he is and not the son that I lost.
Wow, you said a lot there. And I think for me, the most powerful thing that you said was allowing your son to grieve the loss of his brother because he went through it too. Thank you for sharing that, Latoya. What about you, Dr. Labrousse?
Well, after being married for I think 18 years, my partner and I found ourselves that the whole experience was quite traumatic for us, and we are no longer together. And I think it started with not dealing with the pregnancy losses early on in our marriage. It was more detrimental to him, and so oftentimes we tend to not only blame the women for the pregnancy losses or infertility, but also not deal with the emotional component as far as the man is concerned, because he did lose a child as well, or multiple children as well, but the focus is always on the women. And so what I try to do is just focus on the emotional well-being of my children. Let them know that it's okay to go with the flow of the current. Just allow yourself to float, feel moments, live in the moments, have gratitude, and just I think foster just helping them with their emotional well-being. I think that's most important, and being able to accept the current state of our household, and just helping them, to be the best little people that they can be.
I love that. And it sounds like both of you are saying something similar, which is as a mom, you got to put on your own mask first, right? You got to make sure that you're well, make sure your well-being is good, and then tend to the well-being of your children, so that they can then navigate life in a way that will support them to become really happy, amazing adults that they're destined to be.
Mm-hmm.
Wonderful. Well, ladies, thank you so much for sharing your stories with us today. Again, my intent was to share the many paths to motherhood, whether you physically, biologically carried a child to full term or not. So thank you so much for being willing to share your stories with us today.
Thank
It's a
you.
pleasure being here. Thank you so
Thank
much.
you.
All right. So thank you guys so much for joining this episode of the Dunn Wisdom Morning Show, where we showed you two different ways that you can mother with love, and that the journey to motherhood can take many different paths. So whatever journey you're on as a woman, just know that you are whole, perfect, and complete, and you are loved. Day, remember, be kind and loving to yourself. You deserve it.